Hello and welcome to Into the Massiverse episode 3, where we are going to focus on Assassin's Blade, the third book in the Throne of Glass series. Now, before we start summarizing the story, I'm just going to make a very short treatise as to why the prequel novel Assassin's Blade, which you will see on my shelves in position 1, as it is the first chronological story that occurs in the series, is being summarized now and should always be read in third position. First and foremost, simplest point, Sarah J Maas released it third. Okay, Throne of Glass came out, Crown of Midnight came out, and then Assassin's Blade came out, which is such a gag when you have such a big reveal come at the end of Crown of Midnight and wait for the next book, and it's like, psych, you are getting no answers, only more questions. At least you're getting answers to things you didn't want answers to. But Assassin's Blade is such an important book in the overall Throne of Glass series. It really nicely wraps up what I consider the Selena Sardothian section of the series. And I talk to people who've never read the books before, and they ask me my opinions on the whole series and to just kind of give them an overview. I tell them that the main character of books 1 to 3 is an assassin called Selena Sardothian, and the main character of the rest of the series is a princess called Aelin Ashriver Galathinius. Because how else do you explain people online talking about the story, talking about Selena, talking about Aelin, and new readers or people who've never read the series before are going, wait, so who's who, which is which? And you don't want to spoil the reveal for anybody, unless you're doing a series like this, in which case, yeah, you are going to spoil the series for them. I've just realised that I still have my Crown of Midnight earring on. So I'm going to take that out and put in my Assassin's Blade earring, which is currently hung on the book. Much better. Now, the overall narrative arc of the Throne of Glass series is all about Aelin, our main character, coming to like every single part of herself. You can't be the best actualized version of who you are unless you accept everything about yourself. And it's really hard for Aelin to reconcile her past as Selena Sardothian. And so the first 3 books of this series have an awful lot of work to do in showing you everything that Aelin doesn't like about herself, but also showing you why Aelin is wrong to dislike the Selena part of who she is. This book in particular could have several different names, okay? Sarah J Maas chose to call it Assassin's Blade. It could be called R.I.P. Sam Cortland. Or the title I would personally give it, Selena Sardothian, Queen of Karma. Because the 5 short stories in Assassin's Blade all quite clearly show you, A, Selena Sardothian, great person, brilliant, kind, thoughtful, no matter what has happened to her. At any point in her life where she has been given the opportunity to choose kindness, Homegirl always does. And number 2, the universe in general owes her so many good things. Because in this one book, Selena Sardothian earns a lifetime of good karma. She does good thing after good thing after good thing. And what happens brilliantly throughout the series is that she is in fact paid back. She is literally the nicest, kindest assassin in the world. And this book works so poignantly when you read these 5 short stories with the knowledge, A, that Selena is actually a princess. When you see her being particularly materialistic and liking chocolate and books and stuff, you're like, yes, girl was a princess. Of course she likes nice things. And B, that Sam Cortland is definitely 100% going to die. He is such a brilliant character, and he's existed throughout books 1 and 2 of the Throne of Glass series without appearing on page once. So actually having the anticipation of opening this book for the first time and meeting the Sam Cortland you've heard so much about, you know Selena loves without a shadow of a doubt, is insane. Okay, and it's heartbreaking. It's painful. This book has so much more context when read in position 3, and it gives so much context to things you are already aware of from books 1 and 2. It recontextualizes so many moments that you're now familiar with. For example, if you read Assassin's Blade first, you would never clock that in one of the short stories, Selena meets Kale and Dorian. Like, she has met them in the past. They aren't specifically named, but if you've read 2 books with those 2 as main characters, You totally see their cameo. It's so well placed third. It's really a good way to structure the series. We're jumping back in time, which is in and of itself very frustrating. You've had a major reveal, you're not getting answers, but what you now know is completely forever changed. And this book alters and changes things further by showing you who Selena Sardothian really is at her core. You were introduced to her in a diminished state. Girl is under a lot of pressure in Crown of Midnight, but here you get to see the tail end of Ardalin's assassin Selena Sardothian. And you get the chance to see the difference between the reality and the myth that is Selena Sardothian as a persona. Because so far, all you've seen and are aware of is that she is so amazing, she is so hardcore, she is brilliant, and you constantly have that in the back of your head as the Selena within books 1 and 2 is going about killing people, saving people. You know that there's this big, hefty weight behind her that is the enigma of Selena Sardothian, the best assassin ever. What's lovely is that still exists in this book. If you've read books 1 and 2, like she's been built up in your head. She's cool, she's calm, she's collected. But in Assassin's Blade, you see the real Selena Sardothian. You see the version of Selena that Aelin can't really wrap her head around until the end of the series. You see her for who she is. She's already shown herself to be awesome and amazing in books 1 and 2. Here you get to see that she is kind and she is good. And everyone just treats her so badly. So later on in the series, when you know Aelin and others, they look down on Selena, you are righteously angry because you've seen the real girl. Assassin's Blade lets you see the real Selena Sardothian, that she has been good all the way through. She has been brilliant from day dot. And while Selena Sardothian can't see that, while Aelin, Ashriver, Galathinius has to learn to see that, Sam Cortland sees it from the beginning. It's why he's so wonderful. And we get a definitive answer to the question, who betrayed Selena and Sam? We haven't known. For 2 whole books, we know that she's betrayed. She knows she's been betrayed, but she isn't 100% certain of who. And the end of this book reveals who it was that stabbed them in the back, got Sam killed, got Selena sent to Endovia, and it's a 3-book long payoff. If you just read Assassin's Blade first, you just always know. Like, it's never exciting. And when said person gets their comeuppance in Queen of Shadows, you're like, oh yeah, I knew about this all the time. It's just always been the truth. Whereas if you read Assassin's Blade 3rd, you're like, yes, get him! We hate him! Let him die! Kill him! Freaking hate him! So yes, brilliant. So let's meet the OG Selena Sardothian. Let's see the entirety of Sam Cortland and why he is so amazing. And let's meet Arobin Hamel, the man who made Selena Sardothian. Now, as I've mentioned previously, Assassin's Blade is made up of 5 short stories, each of which occur one after the other, a little before the Throne of Glass series begins. In fact, this book ends exactly a year before we start Throne of Glass. The first story is called The Assassin and the Pirate Lord. And in this story, we get to meet Arobin, the King of Assassins, Sam Cortland, Absolute Bay, and the Pirate Lord, Captain Rolfe, all of whom have massive impacts on the Throne of Glass series. Now, Arobin Hamel sends his 2 best young assassins, Selena and Sam, to a place called Skulls Bay. Now, we've actually heard Selena mention that she is, in fact, banned from Skulls Bay. She is not allowed to go to said cluster of islands in the sea. And in this story, we find out why. Selena and Sam travel to Skulls Bay in secret, not fully aware of what their mission actually is, only knowing that they need to meet up with Captain Rolfe, the pirate lord, the titular pirate lord of this story. You find out that Selena and Sam are kind of competing with each other. They are both considered proteges of Arobin. Selena is very much viewed as Arobin's favourite. And Selena 100% views Sam as competition for the #1 spot of protege assassin. So they don't really get on at the beginning of the story, and it's such a gag when you know that Sam Cortland's the love of Selena Sardothian's life. What is going on? We are literally starting off in a kind of enemies to lovers sense. Chef's kiss. Thank you, Sarah J Maas. Now, when they arrive in Skulls Bay, they find out that Arabin Hummel is buying slaves off of Captain Rolfe. He wants them to transport all of these slaves back to Rifthold, the capital of Ardalan, the city that we've spent most of our time in so far within the books. Now, Selena takes real umbrage to this plan. Girl is not okay with even being tangentially associated with slavery. It is a moral wrong. She cannot believe Arabin is getting involved in this. Girl is not cool at all with the plan, but starts pretending to go along. Problem is, Sam knows Selena really, really well, so he knows something's up. He knows she's not cool with this plan. Eventually, Sam manages to pull the truth out of Selena, and she's pleasantly surprised to find out when she voices the issues she has with slavery that Sam feels exactly the same way, and he agrees to help her basically curtail their boss's plan. They basically concoct this really high-octane, high-energy Pirates of the Caribbean-esque that involves cannons. It's bananas. It's so cool. But the two of them are working in tandem really for the first time ever, and they make a great team. There is a point, however, where the plan goes awry and it looks like Sam has actually died. And Selena's all of a sudden like, oh my god, no Sam? I was just starting to like him. But it's cool. Sam's got away okay. The two of them are fine. And they return to Rifthold and Arabin as like these reluctant allies. They now, there's a level of respect there that there wasn't before. Selena's like, maybe Sam isn't a dirty, nasty brown noser. Maybe he's cool. He likes to break the rules like me. We then move on to story 2, which is called The Assassin and the Healer. Like all of the stories in Assassin's Blade, it's super duper important for later stories. Because in this short story, we get to meet Irene Towers, an absolute icon, a legend. She is the moment. Now, after returning back from Skulls Bay, obviously, Arabin was furious with Selena and Sam, and he beats Selena mercilessly, like really, really bad, has Sam watch, not cool at all. But he decides that's not enough of a punishment for Selena. He sends her off on a mission, very much as punishment, and she stops off en route in this dingy port town called Inish. Homegirl's at this bar. She's drinking her drink. She's keeping her head down, and the bartender, like the barmaid, the tavern, I was going to call her a tavern wench, but Irene's not a tavern wench. The worker at this bar is my homegirl Irene. And unlike everyone else, Irene clocks Selena. Okay, she's like, a young woman like me, but traveling on her own. I'm gonna keep an eye on her. Just in case anything happens, I'm just gonna eyes on her. Okay. And you find out that Irene came from a family of healers, and her entire family were killed by the King of Ardalan, because obviously healers use magic to heal people. And she's very much like and she's been on her own since the King of Ardalan killed her family, which means you can draw parallels between Irene and a certain main character, both of whom had their parents and loved ones by the King of Ardalan. The two, however, do not know that they have this in common. You as the reader, though, do if you've read books 1 and 2. Irene is working this job in this bar to save up money to head to a place called Antica, where she can learn at this tower full of healers. She basically wants to go to med school, but when the night wraps up and Irene goes to take the trash out, she is attacked by a group of men outside of the bar. I mean, it's like 4-on-1. Irene's got no chance. Who swoops in to save the day? Of course, my main girl, Selena Sardothia. She's not having any of it. She beats the living daylights out of these men. And then she turns around to Irene and is like, babe, you need to know how to take care of yourself. And so she literally gives Irene like a little self-defense lesson. And you think that's probably the end of their run-in. But the next day, Selena's getting on her ship to continue on her travels. She leaves a sack of gold for Irene so that Irene can go to med school. Please that. Like, oh, how could anyone not like Selena Sardothia? Okay, absolute bae. She is a girl's girl, and I mean that in the truest sense. Thus ends story 2 in Assassin's Blade. Now, story 3 is called The Assassin and the Desert, and I love it. Arabin has basically sent Selena to this assassin school in the middle of the desert to learn from this guy called the Mute Assassin. Selena travels all the way there. She is accepted into this like 1 month training program, and she gets given a roommate whose name is Ansel. Now, Selena just wants to dive straight in. She wants to go meet the master, start cracking on, but everyone's like, babe, that's not how it works. You've just got to go to normal lessons. The master will see you when the master sees you. So she's spending all her time in like group classes and lessons. She's getting to know Ansel. And one day, Ansel is sent on an errand assigned to her by the master, and Selena's like, I'll come along. I'll keep you company. But she kind of gets left on her own in the Xandria marketplace, this like bazaar, while Ansel is going and negotiating for peace on behalf of the assassin school with the local warlord. And Ansel reveals to Selena that she's actually at the assassin school training up to go and take on this guy, Lord Locke, who killed Ansel's family. So yet again, we are meeting another female character with an assassinated family. If you've read books 1 and 2, you know Selena, she's empathizing at this point. She's like, yeah, I get wanting to take on the person that killed your family. Ansel also reveals that she is from the barren wastelands, the Witchlands, to the west of Ardalan. And this is a really cool tidbit because these are going to become very important story-wise. And Ansel explains that that part of Erelea is all sandy and like desert because it used to be ruled over by all of these witches. And that there's 2 kinds of witches, the Crowan and the Iron Teeth. And that those 2 tribes of witches, they were at war. And eventually the land was cursed. So nothing can grow there. Ansel even has an anecdote of being a child and hearing stories about witches, aka the Iron Teeth, eating babies. So when Selena met Babby Yellowlegs in Crown of Midnight inside of the caravan, all she knew about witches was that, yeah, they're real and they eat babies. Again, just a brilliant recontextualization of things that have happened before. The 2 of them have this epic bonding moment where they steal these insane horses. They're like the fastest horses in the world. And they race out through the desert, and these horses run super fast, okay? And the 2 of them are like laughing. They have a moment of genuine happiness, the 2 of them, as they're riding these horses. It's freedom. It's women in harmony stealing expensive horses. I think they're called like a stallion horses. And this is really cool because Selena has mentioned in either book 1 or book 2, when she sees that there is an Astarion horse in the royal stables at Rifthold, she's like, I've ridden an Astarion horse as fast as it can go. And Doran and Kale are like, you've done what? And it's just another random anecdote that she's mentioned in an earlier book that you get to see. You get to see her riding the horse that she's mentioned. It's so good. It's beautiful. Beautiful moment. We love it. We love it. It stays in your head like a little picture frame of like, oh, yes. And I know this. She mentions this later on as like just a random cool bit of Selena lore as she's just dropping bombs to Kale and Dorian like, yeah, I've lived a very interesting life. I feed a load of slaves. I've read one of these cool horses. The guys are like, who is this woman? Well, now we're finding out. The 2 seem to be getting along fine until Selena reveals that the master, the head of the school, is going to start giving Selena lessons of an evening, like little private tutorials. And Ansel's like, well, I've been waiting for ages to get my private lessons. This isn't fair. You've just swept in, supplanted me, yada, yada, yada. There is some jealousy at play. But the next day, the 2 of them apologize to each other. They're like, look, sorry, we're not in competition. Girls got to stick with each other, right? We've got to have each other's backs. And they drink some wine. But Ansel has poisoned Selena's cup. When Selena wakes up, having been knocked out by the poison, she's in the middle of the desert and she just has this note on her that says, the master wanted her gone and he didn't want to kick up a fuss. Like, please just leave. And she's like, something about that doesn't seem right. That actually sounds super sus. But Selena's not going to really kick up a fuss because, like, she's been forced to be here anyway by Harabin. So Hongar heads to Xandria to see if she can get herself some travel home. When she sees the local warlord Beric's men all marching out towards the assassin school in the desert, she's like, why are these guys heading towards the compound? What's going on? So Girl rushes back and finds out that loads of the people at the assassin school, they're already dead. They've been killed as part of this attack. Turns out Ansel has been working with Beric, this local warlord, and he's made sure, like, if she could go to the school and she could poison everybody and take them down, he would offer her aid in going and killing Lord Locke. So Ansel's a double agent at the school, right? But she genuinely liked Selena. Didn't want Selena to be a part of this attack that she was helping facilitate. So she took her out of the game. She went, put her in the desert and was like, no, you're going to be safe. Stay away. Bad things about to happen. I've got your back, girl. But obviously, Selena doesn't see it like that. She's like, babe, what the hell? Not cool. And Ansel's like, look, you get it. Okay. Like, look, you've heard my story. You know why I'm doing what I want to do. Come be my ally. Help me out. Help me kill the master and get my revenge for my family. I don't want to work with Lord Beric, but it's the best thing to do so I can go and kill Lord Locke. And while Selena is tempted, like, she gets where Ansel's coming from 100%, which you know why about if you've read books 1 and 2, you get why the argument rings very, very true with Selena. You know, she's been treated nicely by the assassin school, okay? So she's like, nah, girl, this isn't for me. Like, this is kind of baddie behavior. So the two of them fight, and it's really, really cool. Selena gets the upper hand, and she says to Ansel, she's like, I'm a count to 10. And on the count of 10, I'm a loose an arrow, so you better be out of range, bitch. So Ansel starts running, and as she's there with this arrow, she counts to 10. And it's very clear in the book, she waits another beat. She really counts to 11 before loosing that arrow. And Ansel's it just misses her. So Selena's let Ansel live. She lets Ansel get away. She gives her that extra second. So the story ends with the master, the head of the school, congratulating Selena on saving everybody. He gives her a letter of recommendation to take back to Arobin to say, yep, your girl, she's amazing. She's passed all the tests. She is brilliant. But he also gives her a chest full of gold because Arobin has Selena working for him under the guise of her owing him the debt of having raised her. All of the money he spent on her lessons, her clothes, etc., she owes him in gold. She cannot leave him. She cannot work for anyone else until she has paid off her life debt, essentially. So the master gives her the chest of gold and says, no, babe, you go home, you buy your freedom. And if you ever want to come back here, if you ever want to leave the north, you are more than welcome to return to this school. We will happily have you. And I'm sure my son, Ilias, who is fine. We love Ilias. He's really cute. I'm sure Ilias would be happy to have you back as well. Kind of hinting you could come back here and help run this school. Like, we love you. You're great. So she leaves the assassin school on very, very good terms.